Hey, Read Through the Worders. Good to see you today. I'm Wendy Pope. It is June the 8th. And I just realized as I sat down, I was just looking over my notes and looking through our scripture today that I started us in Ecclesiastes, and I get to conclude our days in Ecclesiastes, which, you know what? I'm sure I've done that before, but it's never been like in my mind before. So there might be something to this. Yeah, there is, because here's the funny thing. I decided to pull out my notes from the 5th. That's when we started. And I had a quote from Wiersbe on the 5th. And I'm quoting Wiersbe. Excuse me. I'm quoting Wiersbe, not Queersby, Wiersbe on the 8th. That is crazy coincidence. But Wiersbe, remember, said that Ecclesiastes is the book that deals realistically with life, death, success, and failures, and times and events. And he also gave us that great guideline of the breakdown of the book. That in chapters 1 through 2, he states the problem and argues all the negatives. 3 through 10, he examines problems at different angles, and he kind of creeps into a positive. And then in 11 and 12, and we're in 12 today, he concludes that life indeed is worth living. Because remember, he was asking the question, or he says Solomon basically addresses the question, is life worth living? And the teacher, preacher, and depending on where you land, Solomon has concluded for us that life indeed is worth living. And today, I think I'm going to read that last little bit. Keep this in mind. The teacher was considered wise, and he taught the people everything they knew. He listened carefully to many proverbs, studying classifying them. The teacher sought to find just the right words to express truths clearly. And he says, words of the wise are like cattle prods, painful but helpful. Isn't that an interesting way to phrase and to characterize words of the wise? They're painful, but they're helpful, he says. But he sums up the whole book. That's the whole story. Here is now my final conclusion. Fear, and remember, yirah, that's fear, God, and obey his commands, for this is everyone's duty. And let me just pause there and just say that I know that when I really started obeying the Lord, that I did start obeying as a duty. I really did. God said it. I'm going to do it. I don't want to, but I'm going to. Anyways, I'm going to do it. And now obedience really is, it over time in a life of faith, seeking the Lord, a life that seeks the Lord, begins to obey really out of duty. But over time, obedience pours from a heart of love for God, and a desire to be like God and to be pleasing to God. So that does change. God will judge us for everything we do, including every secret thing, whether good or bad. Woo, that one's, verse 14's lit up, isn't it? But he says this in verse 7, and this is where I want to wrap up. For then the days will return to the earth, and the spirit will return to God who gave it. From the dust we will return to the earth, and the spirit will return to God who gave it. Warren Wiersbe broke down the stages of life in a spiritual sense, and in our journey to the Lord, he called them days of our lives. It sounds like that old soap opera, Days of Our Lives. Um, but he categorized these days of our lives. What are your days like at this stage of life? So in our seasons of life, where are we? Days of decline. That was 12 through 8, chapter 12, 1 through 8. Make the most of all the opportunities, he says, you're given. Again, this is from his chapter by chapter book, Bible Handbook. If you don't have that, oh, please, please, please get your hands on it. Make the most of every opportunity you are given before you become too old to have all the opportunities. Now, we still, at every age, have opportunities to shine for Jesus, to do things for the Lord. But make the most of them, no matter what age you are. Because there'll be a day when there's not a lot of opportunities left because of being older and having to succumb to those, to our tent coming down. Paul refers to our bodies as tents. Days of learning from 9 through 12. Never stop learning, no matter how old you are. You are never too old to learn something new. Are we in days of obedience? Fear God and obey his commands, he says in chapter 12, 13, and 14. You never age out of these two things. Ever. You never reach the point where you say, yeah, I'm old enough. I don't need to fear God anymore. I don't need to obey God anymore. Living days, making the most of every opportunity. Learning and obedience are important at every stage of life. It's never too late to live days like this. And that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. If I'm in a period of countdown to when I get to move to heaven, I want to make, as I age down or up and up, chronologically and spiritually move up towards my eternal existence with the Lord. I want to make the most of every opportunity. I really do. To shine for him, to serve him, to love him, to be with him. I never want to stop learning. And I pray that I never stop having the desire to obey. Take care. We'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.